We have now reached the point that seemingly every student dreads: word problems. You've been doing them in the homework, so they shouldn't really be that difficult. The key to the question is deciding whether or not it's an arithmetic series, an arithmetic sequence, which is what we did first, a geometric series, or a geometric sequence. So remember, a series means I added up all the terms. Geometric sequence is just a bunch of terms that have a common ratio, and an arithmetic sequence is a bunch of terms that have a common difference. So try and keep those separate in your minds. Now, let's talk about this first question. My little nephew Avery is having a birthday party. He loves those things. Last year's theme was Finding Dory, I believe. Suppose that in the first round of invitations, Avery texts 8 people. He's quite tech savvy, actually. Each invited person then texts 5 people, and each of those people texts 5 more, and so on and so forth. What is the total number of people invited by the 8th round of texts? So we need to decide, is it arithmetic or geometric, first of all? So am I multiplying by something or am I adding by something? And am I trying to find a sequence or a series? So take a moment and figure out what it is that you're trying to find and what it is that you know. I know that U1 is 8 because Avery texts 8 people. I know that each person texts 5 more, so that's a multiple, so R is 5. I know N is 8 because of the 8th round. And I know I'm trying to find the sum because it says the total number of people invited. So I'm trying to find S8. So I'm actually using a geometric series. So if I sub in everything I know, this is what the formula looks like. I use my handy dandy calculator and I get that 781,248 people have been invited. I don't think his mom's going to be too happy about that one. All right, next question says, in a pyramid of dominoes, the top domino falls and hits the 2 dominoes in the second row. Those then topple and hit 2 other dominoes that are in the next row. If the pattern continues, how many dominoes have in total have been toppled by the 15th row? Write down what you know, figure out, is it arithmetic or geometric, and use the appropriate formula. So this one took a little bit more writing down. I thought maybe some people might need to see that U1 is 1, and then it hits 2 dominoes in the next row, so U2 is 2, and then each of those hits 2 other dominoes, so U3 is actually 4. So here, you notice that I'm multiplying by 2, which gives me the ratio of 2. I want to know the 15th row, and I want to know the total, so again, this is S15. Plug into your formula and see what you get. Here's what substituting into your formula should look like, and your final answer of 32,767. Final question here today. You'll notice this one is a little bit more intricately set up, but you should be able to do this setup on your own. So take a look and make sure you're paying attention to the details. A student is offered a job with a math teacher that will last 20 hours. The first option pays $4.75 for the first hour, $5 for the second, $5.25 for the next hour, and so on. The second option pays $7 an hour for all hours worked. So I think what might actually help is if you write down the pattern. So for the first option, it's $4.75, then $5, then $5.25, and so on. And for the option number 2, it's $7, $7, $7, and so forth and so on. Now, if you look at this pattern, the second option, it's just $7 the whole time. And then in the first option, you're looking at it and you should notice that it is an arithmetic pattern. And because it's arithmetic, you know that D is 0.25. So they get a quarter more each time. All right, it says here in the first option, how much is the student paid in the 10th hour? So you need to figure out, am I adding up each of the hours or am I just looking for one term? Now, I know a bunch of things already that I've written down, so you can actually move them to here. But it says, how much is the student paid in the 10th hour? So I'm only looking for U10. So that's $4.75 plus 10 minus 1 times D, which we know is 0.25. You can use your handy dandy calculator. This one should be relatively easy though. So this comes out to $4.75 plus $2.25, which is a total of $7. So in the 10th hour, this student gets $7 with the option number 1. Now, question number 2 says, which option pays more and by how much more? You have to decide, first of all, am I using any different formulas? And second of all, am I looking at the full time, which is a definite yes. So I'm looking at the full time of 20 hours, and I want to know how much this kid gets paid by option 1 and by option 2. So if you're anything like me, you might split up your page into option 1 and option 2. Option 2 is relatively easy because the student is making $7 an hour for 20 hours to give a total of $140. Now, we need to figure out option 1. Because this is an arithmetic formula, I can use S of 20. I'm going to use the long formula because I don't know how much the student earned in the 20th hour. So I'm going to do 20 over 2, 2 times 475 plus 20 minus 1 times 25 cents. Again, handy dandy calculator or mental math. So once I do my number crunching here, I showed a few more steps than I needed to, but it's just so that you can check your work as you go along. You'll notice that option 1 makes this student $2.50 more in option 1 than in option 2, but I'm not sure if $2.50 is worth it, so you need to decide on your own. All right, make sure that you get your homework done. I will see you next week. Peace out, people.